So this looks like a product, and we have not covered the product rule for integration, so we can't use that. Instead, we're going to use something which is extremely important. That's called U substitution. This basically replaces the chain rule that we do in derivatives. What you do is you let U equal the inside function. So inside of the radical, you let U equal this. So it's just the inside part, not the radical. And the idea is that you're taking something that's more complicated and you're replacing it with something that is simpler. So this whole thing right here is going to be replaced with U, so that's just going to say the square root of U. Definitely simpler. Now we need to see what dx equals. So go ahead and take the derivative. On the left side, it would say du over dx equals a 2x plus 6. Then I'm going to separate the variables. So I'm going to leave the u information on the left side and put all the x information on the right side. So multiply both sides by dx. And then we've got du equals. And then with this, the idea is I want this to match what's in the problem. So the original problem does have a dx, so that's good. And then this should match that. And it doesn't quite match, but if I factor out a 2, it will leave x plus 3 times dx. Then all I need to do is, to make that look like that, all I need to do is divide by 2. So divide both sides by 2. When you do U substitution and you get to this step, you can only multiply by a constant or divide by a constant. No other algebra is allowed. So you can't add, subtract, take square root, only multiply by a constant or divide by a constant. And then I prefer to rewrite this as 1/2 du. Now, if you look at this part, it says the x plus 3 in parentheses times the dx. And this says the exact same thing. So now we're ready for the u substitution. So it's going to be integral. And then this is just going to become the square root of u. And then replacing what I underlined in red, all of that gets replaced with just 1/2 times du. And when you're multiplying by a constant, you could factor that out. So I'm going to write it like this, 1/2 times du. Now, we've basically taken a complicated problem and turned it into a much simpler version. So you could think of this square root as u to the 1/2, and then add 1 to the exponent, which is going to be 3/2, and divide by 3/2. So when you divide by a fraction, that means invert and multiply by 2/3. And then it's going to be u raised to the 3/2. We're now done integrating, so put plus c. And now we're basically done. There's only one less thing to do, and that is, well, simplify this, and then also replace the u with the x squared plus 6x plus 1. So when you reduce, that's going to be 1/3, and then x squared plus 6x plus 1 is in the parentheses. It's raised to 3/2, put a plus c, and it's done.